The Philadelphia 76ers have now dropped to 2-8 on the season at the hands of the New York Knicks, but there is one bright spot. Jared McCain continues to shine for the Sixers team and is proving that he is ready for a larger role than just about any of us could have expected at this point. We're going to break down the positive takeaway for what we've seen from McCain. Got my guy Ryan Coyle with us, joining the channel right here on Sixers Digest. We are through our ramp-up period here on Sixers Digest and ready to play ball the rest of the season. So, Ryan, I apologize you have to, join on a little bit of unfortunate circumstances following a Knicks loss, but let's talk some Jared McCain. What are you seeing so far?
Fearless, man. Just the way that he's been able to go out there and the confidence and just the poise that he plays with at such a young age, a rookie, first year out of Duke, as we know, only 20 years old still. He looks like a polished, seasoned veteran. And we were kind of talking off air, but I said, if you dropped a person in here that, that's obviously watched basketball, that knows basketball, but didn't know who Jared McCain was, I think they would say that's a 5, 6 year vet right there. Just the way he plays. And I heard one of the reporters during the game kind of saying he's talked about how the game has really started slowing down for him, his ability to process information and stuff. And you got to think, like, was the Tyrese Maxey injury a good thing? Because it's kind of unleashed, another weapon here in the Sixers for their future, not just going forward in the long term, but this season as well. And Jared McCain, they're going to need his scoring
Yeah.
with this kind of injury prone roster that they have.
Yeah, absolutely. That the standard has changed to me. That I initially kind of viewed this Jared McCain situation as it's good to give him a little run. This will be great for his development. No, scratch that. This dude has to play for the Sixers team. He's a caliber of shooter that they simply do not have. I think straight up right now, Jared McCain is the best shooter on the Sixers roster, and there is a level of just unconscious, red hot shooting that he's capable of that we haven't seen in the Sixers uniform just yet. The NCAA tournament game against, I believe it was JMU, that he knocked down
Yep.
8 3-pointers still sticks in my head as far as like he could not miss that day. We have not seen that just yet, but you see these signs of what it is there. And fearless is such a great word to describe it. That like he went and tried to dunk on OG Anunoby, just yamming on guys. And like, dude, do you know who you are at this point, Jared McCain? And he clearly does not care. And there was a quote that he had that really like warmed me up to him walking off the court after that last game against the Hornets in which he went for 27. And now once again that in the past 3 games has had 18 points and over 3 made 3-pointers in each game. But walking off the court after that Hornets game, he was asked, how is it you stay so confident, like out here with NBA players with the bright lights on you? And his reply was, I work too hard not to be confident, which I just
Yep.
love every part about that from him. And we're seeing this on kind of a wider scale that so far this season, 10 games in, he's averaging 11.5 points, 2.1 rebounds, and 1.5 assists in just 17 minutes per game. Also shooting 45.6% from the field, 35.9% from three on 3.9 attempts. I expect those numbers to continue climbing. And especially what I was excited about tonight is we got to see him play next to Joel Embiid. And obviously, Embiid's still working his way back up to speed that you could tell the fitness level was not there for him. You could tell he battled through some things physically. He got progressively better as the game went on, which was encouraging to me. But we've seen how this works with guys like Seth Curry, guys like JJ Redick playing off the screens of Joel. I think McCain is right in line for that same kind of level of opportunity. And I like the early glimpses of what we saw from that tonight.
Yeah, and we haven't seen, as you mentioned, like that super sharpshooting game yet. That kind of was what he's known for, or at least coming out of the draft. He had 2 games at Duke last year where he had 8+ threes, but we have seen a few games where he's had, a handful of threes, 3, 4 3-pointers. At Duke last year, he had 7 games of 4+3s. He already has at least 2 games of 4+3s in the early goings of his NBA career. And I saw on Twitter before the game, or X, whatever we want to call it now, from Evan Siddery, he tweeted,
Mm-hmm.
in every game that Jared McCain has logged at least 15 minutes, he's averaging 16 points per game
Wow.
during that stretch. And that obviously is not going to be a sustainable number once Maxey's back, once Embiid's back at a full tilt, once George is back. But I think it's a legit case that this could be a 11, 12 point per game, like your fourth, at worst, fifth leading scorer on this team. And for a team that is counting on older veterans like a Kyle Lowry, like an Eric Gordon, who are definitely a shell of themselves, it is a very welcome addition to have a young shot creator, a guy that can score from beyond the arc. And we said he hasn't had that super sharpshooting game yet where it's 6, 7 threes, but his ability to score in the mid range, like he
Yeah.
had one really nice pull up tonight in the paint. His ability to get to the rim. I said earlier he had a transition take. He missed it at the rim, but just another fearless take that rattled around the rim. He's got a stronger upper body than I think
Yeah.
giving credit for as well. So everything about the kid you have to like so far. I think we might want to pump the brakes a little. I've seen some Devin Booker hype like on Twitter, and he's not quite that big. That kind of worries me a little. But he's got the scoring touch and the polish of an NBA veteran already at the age of 20.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. He's very clearly and been pretty open about this. He comes from the school of Steph Curry as far as how he plays basketball, that it is constant motion. He's moving around the perimeter. Steph Curry is a one of one player, so I'm not ready to throw him in that category. But just like that level of motion, that constant movement, just creating things opens up a ton for a team. And like you see the effects of that even on possessions where he doesn't touch the ball. And when speaking about like the full context of expectations for McCain, like getting him as the 16th pick in this draft is an absolute slam dunk. Getting a guy that, as you just mentioned, is likely going to end up like a fourth or fifth level scorer on this team is far above what any of us could have expected. And like looking down this list of who's been drafted, we talked about how weak this rookie class is pretty much throughout. I think if you're doing a redraft right now, McCain absolutely is hearing his name in a top 8 pick. And I think that's probably on the lower side. Top 5, top 3, even I can make that case. And I know it's very early. I'm not going to count out any of these guys just yet. There will be better days ahead for the Alex Stars of the world and all of this. But you see this instant impact that he's capable of doing at age 20 with a level of mentality. And by the way, doing this on a team with expectations. I understand they're 2-8. I understand it has not been the strong start to the season, but this is like high level basketball that is being asked of him being played, and he is delivering. So I think there's even better days ahead for Jared McCain, but I can't believe this dude fell to 16. And I do think the Sixers have like it's a little bit strong to take, but I think this is a guy that's going to be closer to that pass the baton to a Maxey and McCain backcourt is the next era of Sixers basketball.
Yeah, and I remember coming out, one of the comps for him was Seth Curry. I think his game is a lot more advanced and he definitely has a higher ceiling than what Seth Curry has. And
Yeah.
Seth Curry's had, a decade-long career, a high-level shooter in the NBA. But I think Jared McCain definitely has a different level to his game. And I think Duke didn't really fully like unleash him last year.
Yeah.
He was relegated a little bit more to more of kind of like a catch and shoot guy. But they had Jeremy Roach, they had Caleb Foster, they had Tyrese Proctor, other guys that were kind of with the ball in their hands more. Jared McCain has shown in the early goings, and I think he even showed it. We saw a glimpse of it in summer league as well. Like he
Yep.
has that fearlessness to take the ball to the hoop, to finish in the mid range, and just has an array of offensive moves that is obviously going to be welcomed. Is he going to be the long-term backcourt mate with Tyrese Maxey? Offensively, I think he can. I'm still a little bit worried about the size. He's shown some good defensive ability. If he was like 6'4", 6'5", that's a perfect world, but he's also probably not falling to us at that rate in the
Sure.
draft. Um, but the Tyrese Maxey injury, obviously you don't want your second, third best player to be hurt, but it's really opened up an opportunity, and Jared McCain's made the most of it. And I think Sixers front office, Sixers coaching staff has to be in the back of their head that this isn't the start that they wanted to the season, but that's certainly one bright spot that we can point to in the early goings.
Yeah, absolutely there. And you mentioned the size. Like, I hear you as a concern. I personally am more sympathetic to guys that are small but good defenders, which has been the book on Jared McCain. I mean, that possession against LaMelo Ball to close out and force a shot clock violation with less than a minute in overtime where he had him in absolute jail, that to me was like a pretty defining moment for Jared McCain that he's going to scrap, he's going to move his feet, he's going to do the right thing. And if that is the case, I'm willing to rock with that. And for Tyrese Maxey specifically, give him a ton of credit for the way that he's reinvented himself. He is absolutely a plus defender at this point, which was not the case whatsoever. Maxey was a far worse defender than McCain currently is when he came in the league and has turned things around. So I am optimistic on that. The Seth Curry comps I always felt were kind of lazy. That yes, they're both Duke guards that are undersized and shoot the three well, but McCain I think is a better playmaker than we've ever seen out of Seth, and we're seeing flash that already. He's so much stronger physically than Seth that you see how comfortable McCain is getting a guy on his hip and just keeping
Yep.
him there as he attacks to the basket. That's an advanced move for a 20-year-old man. That is not something that a lot of players are capable of coming immediately out of college. And I'll also say, like, when I went out to Summer League, got a chance to interview McCain, it was a quick, like, probably 5-minute total interview. But one of my questions that I had for him was, what do you see the role for yourself? Like, you played a lot of off ball at Duke. I see signs of you playing point guard out here. What do you prefer? And he kind of took through that he's been a point guard his entire life, all coming up through high school, all that level. At Duke, he was asked to play a little bit more specific role, but he thought that kind of helped him develop other areas of his game and is like, I'm willing to help the team wherever I possibly can and make an impact. He really impressed me. as just a guy who was about basketball, which is really important considering some of the storylines surrounding him as far as the TikTok and the off-court stuff. Actually talking to him, like the fingernails, whatever you want to throw in the mix here, the dude like is a locked in, focused on basketball guy, and that's awesome to have. So I'm all in on Jared McCain, man.
Yeah, infectious personality too.
Yeah.
I think that's something that, especially in a team that has as much chaos and disarray as the Sixers, usually that's like a welcoming voice, a welcoming presence, but it's also something that can be reflected out on the floor. Like there's going to be, I think, a time and place where the Sixers are playing in a big game. Jared McCain's on the floor and he's the guy that dies for the loose ball,
Yeah.
has the energy type play. But that's usually like disrespectful to a player. It's like, oh, he's just like a hustle guy. Because then he can go down and rip, 3 threes in a row as well. So this guy has a much higher ceiling than I thought. I remember at the draft, it was between him and Connect, I think at the draft pick. And I wanted Connect just because I thought he was a more NBA ready now player. But Jared McCain is looking like he fits the bill as a guy that's ready to go from day one. And he's going to continue to have more and more minutes and more opportunities presented upon him, and he's going to have a chance to push some of these guys down the depth chart and really make a name for himself. And I know you've been kind of beating at the horse that this could be the potential rookie of the year in a weak rookie class.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity there for him to do that and continue to run with it. But one last thing for me on McCain, you know me that I make this reference a lot, but like he's right now, I think, in a perfect spot to be kind of that Tuesday night in January guy where you play a team like the Hornets and it's like, all right, Embiid and George aren't playing tonight with load management. Here's your opportunity to go play 35 minutes. He could be a guy that goes out there and lights it up for 25, 30 if he's given the shots on an adequate night.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think he's absolutely capable of that. I've moved past that already. That I think
Mhm.
like he's now one of these need to be a key part of the game plan on a night-to-night basis. And his shooting is like that level of defining skill that can earn him that opportunity. I don't know how much more he could have possibly done in the first 10 games of the season to prove that. And as far as the rookie year conversation, I always thought he'd be too limited in minutes to have an actual case. I think he's kind of opening the door for that not to be true and for him to earn the opportunity. The rookie year race is as open as I can ever remember it. So we'll see how things shake out from here. But I will note that DraftKings did take down the rookie of the year odds about midway through this game as McCain was popping off. He was plus, I think he was plus 3,000, I believe it was, entering the game. I would expect that he's probably among the front runners when things are all said and done after that one. So we'll see how things shake out, but a ton of good things being seen from Jared McCain. There's plenty more to break down with this Sixers team. So make sure you're rocking with us here on Sixers Digest from start to finish this season. We're now in the home stretch or the real deal grind of the season as Joel Embiid is back. We're having some real deal takeaways. We had Paul George's best game in a Sixers jersey yet. So we want each and every one of you guys rocking with us from start to finish. So if you have not already, smash that subscribe button, drop a like on this video, and say what's up to Ryan in the comments below. Appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning into this video. Talk to you next time right here on Sixers Digest. Peace.